Hi, my name is Hilda Zilkin. I'm the author of Blue Mountain Mist. I go by Hannah, and I'm doing another insert today. Now, sometimes in this world, things happen, and we are not sure why. There's a very interesting story. First of all, Hannah's forefathers are very native in structure. She's from a band of Central Asian people. If you are white skin, most people forefathers are in the same format. Now, Hannah's forefathers, based off her name, and based off native history, because she was raised in Canada, she knows certain things. It's almost like a cross of East and West. She knows that they were animalist in nature, and they had structures of beliefs of reindeers and all of that. When she got what impacted the most was when she was actually in Central America. She was in Panama and she ran into the forest, and it was the most insane thing anybody can possibly do. But she was not with a straight head at that particular time. You have to understand, every maybe 20 feet or 30 feet, there's something lurking in the rainforest that can whack you off. But clearly, God did something to protect this one female, because he knew, the universe knew, she was chosen. So most people don't know, or do know by now, that Hannah was born to the Islam religion. Now, historically, she was born to Sunni, but she meddled with Alevis quite a bit in terms of readings and structures and philosophies. The Alevi people are very, very interesting. They're very modern. They do have a little bit of alcohol, but their family structures are really awesome. So she actually dabbled with that concept branch of Islam. Now, she was also raised by 3 Black Christians. I mean, what is the chances of this occurring? With Christianity, she would go to church. She was in the Bronx in 1977. In the Bronx, there's a Methodist church there. She grew up with Run DMC. She did not know anybody white till way later on in her life. So her whole setting after the age of 10, with the exception of 1 year in private school because the parents didn't know how to handle the fact that they had just removed their child, shipped her off, and she didn't blend in well at all. She's always been with the Black community. This female doesn't know anything else other than the Blacks. When she did Kanata Means Wings and all of that and started journaling, who trusted her the most? The actual original Mossad did. They were the ones who really believed in that concept of divination. Now, why is this happening with the original Mossad? Because Hannah's past gave a visual for humanity's need to renew faith in God. So you have to understand, like most whites, she starts off in Central Asia, ends up bucking up with the Orthodox Jews, who start educating her on certain things. And it was almost like a flashback to the past. This is where the story of the part of C3's history is the fact that the original Mossad went missing, and that was really scary because Mossad didn't care that she was from the Islamic faith by birth. He didn't care that she had a native background or that she was a black star, in the sense that everything around her was black. Her children of colors, of different races, everything, just everything about Hannah was black. Her native name in Canada, Karakava, everything about Hannah was black. Mossad just trusted Hannah 100%. But it was that renewal in God, because the universe knew something was going to happen, and it was major, and it would be very hard on her. Remember, historically, the globe was cut into cubicles of different races and glued together. So even if there was a tribe in Sri Lanka and one in Africa and they matched, they may have glued them together, creating isolation amongst each and every single country. So this should have been celebrational. And at first it was, but they didn't realize that in the background, big men were wailing. And this is how the story of Hanna became locked in with the death or missing of Mossad. This is where it got really ugly. So each and every country tried to protect its position, the fight became between the Orthodox Jews and the super rich. Now the Orthodox Jews can handle Hanna and Hanna's behavior. The super rich didn't like it. Take a guess why the super rich had a major problem with a female called Horsh Hanna from Turkey, that was born to the Islamic faith, that had a native background, that considered herself a white Negro. Take a guess why the super rich had that problem. Because the super rich didn't even know of her, because she was raised by the black community. Hanna didn't know white, and that was the biggest issue. The biggest challenge was convincing these guys that the person who landed was a sample to renew faith in God. So what did the super rich do? Get actresses and start building a completely different story. But Hanna wanted to give humanity a gift. And that gift is the womb of colors. If you notice, even this picture of Hanna is altered. And it was so damn frustrating because Hanna is a disgustingly beautiful female. Remember, she was romantically linked to Ducky, and she was romantically linked to a sailor and to a musician. She didn't have a lot of partners, but she was very, very modern in concept. Even though she was born to the Islamic faith, she was very, very sneaky about it. Why are we mentioning it right now? We are mentioning it right now to illustrate that, if you're draft pick NBA or whatever, you're not going to be banging no ugly female. That is the highlight of the story. But Ducky helped her immensely in the authentic story. So what ended up happening is when the richest couldn't handle it, they started, between the Orthodox and them, between India and China, between the United States media, Hanna's face got royally disfigured. Now, again, it's a monkey doing this, and that is what happened. She became known as the faceless halo. Every single picture of her gone. All her fingerprints are completely eliminated. Even her prettiest pictures have been slightly altered. You don't know what this female originally looks like. Now, today we're very, very fortunate because the Wolves, through their networks of medical doctors, kind of helped her recreate her original face. But even this face is not the authentic face. It's just that it's a good, somewhat rendition. And they had to, Evil Envy had to remove that halo face. And that was where some of the challenges occurred. It's a form of ape. You're taking a beautiful female and scarring it because, you're getting orders from the super rich to bring out their production because they don't know this female, because it's based off a true story. So between the countries combating for C3's domination, the medicals having a very sophisticated technology that can crush anybody, between Hanna being Buddhist, because she would chant as well. You have to understand, we are Central Asian people historically, and she liked chanting. God picked such a female that it almost went along with the story, The Womb of Colors, as if it was planned. The problem is it was not a planned story. Why is that, and how would you know? Because when Stanley Rice, her family, died in New York and he was an officer, she was there. She flew in with hundreds of other officers. So what did the richest do? They started, or somebody protecting their investment, started injuring police, started eliminating and ensuring that that female was faceless in structure. At one point, Hannah's from nose down jaw was completely missing. Now it was structured back. She looks decent. You can see, I think in the video 234 or 235, you can see it's not as bad, but it was bad because Hannah was very, very feisty with the globes, older concepts of light, because Hanna represented the United Nations as a female womb that regulated the men who were completely out of hand. And who were these men? These men were the super richest, who were already stressed with very difficult environments. Now, a lot of this is show. A lot of these guys, some of these guys are actually very humble. But here's what's interesting. In the future, if we get a chance to do the movie, you're going to understand some of the pressures these guys run into. So they may be in mansions and yachts, but a lot of them have one suit for years on end, and that is their psychology, and that is why they're labeled Jews. Because they are also probably the highest in terms of natives. Now, it sounds crazy, doesn't it? Yes, their houses are completely empty. Unlike Hannah, whose house is, from the secondhand store, but has all kinds of gadgets here and there. She did not fit that star, did not fit that triangle, and they kept pushing it. They just didn't know how to handle it. So they didn't like China, they didn't like India, they didn't like Africa. They had a particular structure they wanted to be. They couldn't visualize a female raised completely by blacks as being Hoshana. But Hannah felt the reason why she was here on earth, because this transition was going to occur. And remember, she did a lot of this work before there was any highlights. So just imagine this doesn't exist. That is what Hannah did, work on this before pre-DNA highlight. And that is what gave her the title of prophet in the authentic version. This is the authentic version, and this has to be linked with several intercepted stories. Interwoven is her real name. That's what it should be, but she has many names because she represents life. And this is just another insert explaining how this story grew. So in the future, in 100 years or 200 years from now, you're not going to see this female. You're going to see probably someone else, an actress who flew out of a cave, or some other crazy story that they generate. And Hannah's okay with that, but this is called the gift for humanity, to see the real Hoshana. And that, my friends, is a reserved title. Why is it reserved? Because it's actually driven in her name and in her conception. So the Star of the Mounts, or the Star of David, because she did the Mounts of Arad. And guess what, folks? She can easily prove it, very easily prove it, that she did the mountains. You have to have Turkology for that, a little bit of a backing. You can't just arbitrarily be Spanish and say, the mounts mean this. You would look stupid. Besides, it's in her name. And she was also the one who changed the etymology of Jerusalem. So this is based off the authentic story. This is called the gift for humanity. It's part of living history, the concept of how wicked they were in, injuring something so disgustingly beautifully chosen by Sky. Today she is still living in North Ontario. She just doesn't bother with anybody. She's much older now, and she's not really that old. She's only in her 50s, but she feels really like 1,000 years old, based off all the years of fighting for betterment. And hopefully we're going to ignore this whole story, and that's the goal. We're going to forget about this whole story, And we're gonna just renew our vows with the sky, like the skies chose. With her migration history, we're going to renew our vows with Sky and really, with an injured female now, work on part two, which is trying to provide alternative sources with Hanna's staff. So Hanna's probably going to do two of the major critical ones, and the rest of the 150 or so proposals for change for our little micro town, done by Hanna, will be blessed by the skies as well as an alternative train of thought for existence. So we don't want to be Mormon, that's too passe. We don't want to be Native, that's too not safe for humans. Nor do we want to be these guys. We want to just be creating an existence that is that will help these guys. So it will immensely help the richest. So that is where we are today. The story of Hoshana, and the called the womb of colors, the womb of morality, a female that's also known as converter. She has a different role, unlike Christ, who brought academia into the world of animal. She has a different role, and she is very fortunate that she had one of the most expensive plastic surgeries to rectify certain things, and that she's able to function. And she's very fortunate that nobody in the vicinity bothers this female. So that is where we are today. Thank you for your support.